What's up, guys? My name's Mr. Bruce, and today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. Today's story is an absolute rabbit hole with so many twists and turns that it's actually pretty incredible that it is a 100% true story. So you're going to enjoy this one. Also, if you like dark storytelling, then go ahead and subscribe to the channel because that's our thing. And buckle up because it's about to get weird. In August of 1922, deep in the quiet upscale neighborhood of Silver Lake, Los Angeles, the pristine home of Fred Oesterreich exploded in terror. Fred was wealthy. He had made a fortune in the garment and textile manufacturing industry. But on this night, inside the home on North St. Andrews Place, he lay bleeding out and he died on his living room floor. His glamorous life cut short in a flash of violence. From deep inside a tiny locked hallway closet, his desperate sobbing wife named Dolly screamed for help until neighbors broke through the front door. To the responding officers of the LAPD, Fred's murder looked like a clear-cut, tragic home invasion. $30 in cash was gone, and Fred's diamond-encrusted pocket watch was missing, and a grieving widow was trapped behind a locked door. But forensic analysis of the LAPD Incident File 44812 immediately revealed a fatal structural flaw in her story. The closet door had been locked from the outside using a standard skeleton key, which was found resting 4 feet away in the middle of the hallway floor. Physically, Dolly Oesterreich could not have locked the door from the inside and then thrown the key into the hall, yet exterior entry points showed zero signs of forced entry. However, when Dolly was questioned by police about her husband's murder, she immediately became a suspect. She claimed that she and her husband had never fought before, but police had records of numerous domestic disputes between the couple, so they knew she was lying. Furthermore, Fred was shot with a .25 caliber handgun. The smaller caliber of gun was commonly viewed at the time as a lady's gun, so what hardened criminal would carry it for armed robbery? However, no murder weapon was recovered, and despite their suspicion, she was never charged because the evidence didn't fully line up. Even so, police couldn't quite shake the feeling that the crime scene had been staged, unaware that the person who pulled the trigger was currently standing only 3 feet above their heads, hiding in a dark attic crawlspace. For 10 years, someone had been living silently in that cramped attic space above their ceiling, watching the couple's every move, their conversations, eating their food, and waiting for the right moment to come down. With her husband in the ground and the LAPD completely baffled by the locked door puzzle, Wahlberger Dolly Oesterreich stepped into her new favorite role. She was a grief-stricken, high society, filthy rich widow, and she collected about $70,000 in life insurance from Fred's death, which is worth about $1.3 million today. She didn't just inherit Fred's fortune, she inherited his entire empire. Suddenly, the woman who spent years playing the quiet housewife was now in full control of massive bank accounts, real estate holdings, and the sprawling liquid capital of the Milwaukee Garment Company. But wealth on that scale requires legal execution, which brought attorney Herman Shapiro into the frame. Shapiro was a lawyer hired to manage her sprawling estate and massive bank account, but it seems like Shapiro had more in mind, and eventually the two became lovers. But 6 months into their affair, Dolly made a critical, unexplained tactical error. She gifted Shapiro a diamond-encrusted watch, valued at around $2,000, or roughly $35,000 today. That watch belonged to her murdered husband, Fred. Shapiro instantly recognized the piece. It was explicitly listed in LAPD homicide file number 44812 as the primary stolen item taken during the alleged home invasion. When pressed about the issue, Dolly claimed that she just found it lodged in a cushioned sofa, completely after the detectives had cleared the house. Shapiro, for whatever reason, decided not to report it. Instead, he locked the murder evidence inside of his own personal safe, unknowingly holding on to the single physical asset that would dismantle Dolly's story. But here's where the story takes a little twist. 11 months after the murder, Dolly Oesterreich's perfect illusion began to crumble from the outside in. Not because of brilliant detective work, but because of her own romantic appetite. Enter Roy Klum, another lover, another puppet, and the man Dolly used to dispose of the crime's most dangerous evidence. During their brief romance, she had handed Klum 2 different .25 caliber handguns, weeping that they, quote-unquote, looked like the weapons that killed her husband, and begging him to throw them away. Loyal as Klum was, he wrapped them in paper and dropped them into the La Brea tar pits. But when Dolly cold-heartedly dumped them only shortly after, a bitter Klum went straight to the LAPD, and detectives dredged up the pistols, recovering them, and they threw Dolly into a jail cell. Once again, the physical evidence pointed directly at her. She was the common denominator, the owner of the guns, and the sole beneficiary of Fred's death. Yet the defense stood on a single, unyielding pillar, the locked closet. The LAPD could not explain how a 110-pound woman could shoot her husband, lock herself in the closet from the outside, and hide the key. With no physical mechanism to prove she acted alone, the charges were dropped and Dolly walked out of jail a free woman once again. But inside of that jail cell, Dolly made a desperate and bizarre mistake. Panicking, she leaned to her attorney and boyfriend Herman Shapiro. Invoking attorney-client privilege, she whispered her bizarre request. She needed him to go to her house, knock on the hallway ceiling 3 times, and feed her vagabond half-brother, who was starving and in the dark. Following her instructions, Shapiro went to the house, tapped on the plaster, and the ceiling opened up, and out climbed a pale, emaciated, sun-deprived man named Otto Sanhuber. For over a decade, Otto had been Dolly's secret lover, living in her attic, while she was married to her husband just a floor below. It all started when she had seduced him at the ripe age of only 17, when she was 33. So, when the neighbors started gossiping about a teenager who kept visiting the house, she moved him into her attic. For years, while her husband Fred worked at the mill, Otto lived in the shadows above the master bedroom. He served as her secret lover by day and her silent ghost by night. That had all occurred in their house in Milwaukee. When Fred decided to move the family to Los Angeles in 1918, Dolly refused every single property that Fred offered, till she found a home with a sprawling, walkable attic. She sent Otto ahead by train, so he was already installed in the California rafters before Fred ever set foot in the front door. Upon entering the attic and discovering Sanhuber, attorney Herman Shapiro immediately recognized the structural reality. The quote-unquote home invasion in August of 1922 was a total fabrication, a lie. Forensic reconstruction of Sanhuber's testimony revealed that on the night of the killing, a violent domestic dispute erupted on the ground floor. An intoxicated Fred Oesterreich physically assaulted Dolly. Sanhuber, hearing the assault through the ceiling vents, rushed downstairs armed with 2 .25 caliber pistols. During the ensuing physical assault in the hallway, Sanhuber fired 3 shots directly into Fred's torso, killing him instantly. They then staged the scene, a missing stolen watch, with Dolly in the hallway closet that was locked from the outside. And once that ironclad alibi was in place, Otto scurried back up into the attic before the police ever arrived on the scene. It's unknown why Shapiro did what he did next. Maybe out of liability, maybe out of greed, but he ordered Otto down from the attic, who was now 32 years old. He gave him money, and he helped orchestrate his escape. Otto fled to Canada, and he changed his legal name to Walter Binter, thus escaping law enforcement completely. That secret lay buried for 7 long years, until one day, Dolly made another mistake. She did something that she had done so many times before. She cut ties with her boyfriend, this time Shapiro. She cut him off completely from her massive amount of money. Shapiro, blinded with a sour rage, decided to cash in on his little insurance policy. So he took Fred's diamond watch from the murder and handed it straight over to police. So you may be thinking, here we go again. But what happened next is yet another twist in the maze known as Dolly Oesterreich. Police now in possession of 2 recovered murder weapons and the diamond watch claimed to have been missing, with Shapiro as their star witness. So they arrested Dolly again and tried her for accessory to murder. Police also tracked down quote-unquote Walter Binter in Canada and extradited him to Los Angeles for trial with the charge of murder. But for the prosecutors, the case was a nightmare. First, Dolly was in relations with Roy Klum, while also being married to her husband at the same time. So, although Roy had already passed away prior to the trial, his story about disposing of the weapons wasn't really all that credible. He admitted to disposing of the murder weapons, which means he admitted to some level of involvement. This would make him a good suspect in the murder to begin with. Then we have Shapiro, the star witness. He managed her estate, and he gained access to her vast amount of wealth after the murder. He also defended her initial criminal case, creating a conflict of interest to begin with. For one, he was her lover, and he had been holding a key piece of evidence in a murder crime for years. He also helped orchestrate the man in the attic Otto's escape out of the country and changing his name. So, he definitely didn't come across as squeaky clean. Dolly and Otto were tried separately. Otto's trial was first. Otto's defense was that he was only 17 when he met Dolly, and she seduced him. She then turned him into a sex slave and held him captive against his will after she moved him into the attic. And when Dolly and her husband got into a physical fight, he came down and killed Fred, but not in cold blood and not premeditated, in a struggle to protect Dolly and break up the fight. His charge was eventually reduced to manslaughter, and although he was found guilty of that crime, the statute of limitations on manslaughter in California was only 3 years. So, since it had been a full 8 years since the murder, the judge was forced to vacate the conviction and dismiss the case entirely. Otto went free. Then Dolly's case came. Prosecution tried to paint Dolly as an evil puppet master who manipulated a fragile boy into killing her husband. But because the actual shooter was already walking the streets legally untouchable, the jury found it hard to lock up the wife as a conspirator for a crime that the shooter wasn't even serving time for. It ended up in a hung jury, and the case was never retried. So she went free. She had inherited a fortune and convinced both Shapiro and Roy Klum to do her dirty work, hold her secrets, all while being involved with her husband and a boy that lived in her attic. So, are they really innocent or guilty? You decide. The boy that lived in the attic for 7 years only to murder her husband? And Dolly Oesterreich, the one who manipulated everyone, including the system. And that's going to do it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the story. What's striking about this one is just how cunning and intelligent Dolly seems to be. It seems like she got over on just about everybody. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the story. Drop me a like button. Subscribe to the channel for more stories just like this. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you over on the next one.